Welcome to Fishing Planet. Today I'm in the Everglades, just hanging about and seeing whatever I catch, mostly butterfly peacock bass. Strange name for a fish, which is not a butterfly, a peacock, or even a bass. Excuse me. Alright, see it there. Yep, of course. Let's go a little bit further. Not too much further, so we don't want to go into the thickets or anything. Nope, not that far. Farther. That's good. See what we can catch there. gonna catch a fish on this one. I got some crayfish. Unfortunately, it's a release kind of fish. I still think it would be cool if we could use the bait that we use, the things that we catch, like frogs and crayfish and other turtles and things like that, as bait for the areas where we catch them. I mean, I agree that we shouldn't be able to use them in other locations because of cross-contamination, but it'd be interesting. Hmm. Nice fish on the line. Judging by the movement, I guess it's a butterfly peacock bass. So we'll see. And it is a butterfly peacock bass. Alright, let's see. Oh, in 3 days. It's fine. Love butterfly peacock bass this time. Largemouth bass. We know we're going to catch an error. What's over here?
Destinova, this is fantastic world building. You've crafted something that feels like a logical continuation of the Max Headroom universe, only scaled upward into an orbital age dystopia. There's a real sense of continuity with the show's ethos, media dominance, corporate negligence, and the blend of satire and speculative realism. You've taken its 1980s cyberpunk snarl and aged it gracefully into a 21st century crisis. Pollution, orbital TV stations, and the commodification of survival itself. The bones are very strong. Here's a deep, thoughtful breakdown by category. Structure and pacing. Your pacing is deliberate, almost documentary in rhythm. The story unfolds like a long-form Network 23 expose, methodical scene by scene. That's appropriate for the subject matter, but it does mean the early chapters 1-3 could use a touch more narrative propulsion. The dinner scene and liftoff are solid introductions, but the tension builds slowly. You might sprinkle in some hints of mystery, background reports on strange malfunctions, or hints of unease among the crew to foreshadow the sabotage plot. By chapter 6, the stakes snap into focus, and that's when the story really breathes. So the goal would be to get that sense of intrigue humming earlier. Number 2. Tone and voice. You've got the tone of Max Headroom nailed when Bryce and Max interact. Dry wit, meta-commentary, the snappy absurdity of tech banter. The only thing missing is more of Max's voice in the earlier chapters. When he finally speaks in chapter 4, it's like sunlight, so maybe include a few snippets of Max commentary during launch prep or station life to break up the earnest dialogue. He's the perfect tool to mock corporate nonsense and point out the absurdity of living in orbit to broadcast commercials. For instance, a quick Max quip when they're discussing the pollution could work wonders. Open quote, Earth's air, now 80% vintage smog, limited edition, close quote. That kind of irreverence would keep the satirical edge sharp while you're world building. 3. Character work. Bryce shines. His curiosity, intelligence, and slightly arrogant energy are perfectly balanced by flashes of idealism. Theora is steady, empathetic, and competent. She anchors the chaos. Edison's moral compass remains clear and stubborn, just as it should. Murray, though, could use a touch more depth beyond the grumbling producer role. Maybe show a scene where his cynicism cracks slightly, hinting at genuine fear of losing his job or belief in what Network 23 once stood for. Lauren's introduction as the station's chief is good, but you could deepen her by giving her a small contradiction. For instance, she might talk about responsibility while secretly cutting safety corners to meet deadlines. Small shades of hypocrisy help your satire bite. 4. Thematic strength. You're digging into classic Max Headroom veins, the ethics of information, the commodification of truth, and the tension between individual morality and corporate obedience. The polluted Earth and Star Station 23 contrast is particularly strong. Humans abandoning Earth yet still broadcasting to it, literally turning their back on the planet while trying to keep viewers entertained. Beautifully bleak. When the Agricom sabotage arc begins, the story shifts toward techno-thriller territory. Think Michael Crichton meets cyberpunk journalism, and it works. It gives Bryce a heroic coming-of-age arc without losing the satirical edge. Prose style. Your prose is clean and functional, with occasional bursts of vivid imagery. The Earth spun silently. Space and the sea are sisters of a sort. You write dialogue naturally, especially Bryce and Theora's banter, but you could trim a few expository exchanges that restate facts already given to the reader. For example, Mira and Bryce explain hydroponics contamination. You could merge it into subtext or tension rather than exposition. A few sentences could also be tightened for rhythm. Your pacing would feel snappier if some descriptive paragraphs were condensed. That said, your restraint in describing space, avoiding purple prose, keeps the tone grounded and very Max Headroom. 6. Overall narrative arc. You're clearly setting up for a 3-act thriller. Act 1, leaving Earth and adapting to the new normal. Pollution crisis, space migration. Act 2, discovery of the sabotage, ethical dilemmas, corporate intrigue. Act 3, Bryce infiltrating Agricom, undercover tension, explosion of consequences. That's excellent scaffolding. The escalation feels earned. Once you refine the transitions and thread Max's voice more consistently through the narrative, this will read like a fully realised novel rather than an extended screenplay treatment. Suggestions for future chapters. Let Max interact more with the main plot. Maybe he digs up evidence or mocks Bryce's James Bond antics. He can be the sardonic AI conscience. 2. Add a media spin subplot. How Network 23's broadcasts distort or suppress the truth about the crisis. That's the show's beating heart. Truth filtered through entertainment. 3. Give us a moment where Bryce, in his idealism, has to confront the human cost of his curiosity. Perhaps someone dies, or nearly dies, because of his data chase. Explore the culture aboard Star Station 23 more deeply. Do people watch holographic ads in the cafeteria? Is there a floating talk show where guests literally drift in zero-G? Verdict: this is a solid and faithful extension of the Max Headroom mythos. Thoughtful, expansive, and socially aware. It balances